the most recent set release, which is Lorcana, which is a TCG that people have been hyping up now for over 12 months. The release has come out, and boxes are close to $400 in America and pretty much sold out. So, is Lorcana something you'll be picking up?
Probably not, if I'm honest. Just because of like how expensive I've seen it become. I'm happy if it was retail. I'd happily get a box just to open for fun, or maybe on the channel, just something different, right? Something different to try out. But just because of how it's been, I can't be bothered. If I put it frankly, I just can't. Yeah, I just can't be bothered with paying way over retail. Like, even just the effort of being like, oh, it's out of stock everywhere, where can I get it? And like, I'm not interested enough in it to go through all of those like hurdles. Like, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And that's fine. Obviously seen a lot of people open it, seen a lot of the cards. I think they don't have texture on their cards, do they?
No, they have. They only fairly recently, within the last couple of weeks, announced the Enchanted rarity, which for a lot of people they were thinking there was no high rarity and no chase, but there is Enchanted rarity. But I don't think they're textured from what I've seen, so it's pretty basic first release. Honestly, I think the cards look good. I've got some packs to pick up because I forgot that I pre-ordered them with game. But so I've got to pick those up, and yeah, the card looks good. I think, as you said, because they're above retail. I mean, at the moment they're about 175 to 180 pound a box in the UK. There seems to be a fair few on eBay, but my worry is because there's no seal to the boxes. They are sealed, but there's no wrapping on them.
Yeah.
And it's got that rip strip that the Japanese boxes have. The packs can be taken from out the side of the box and replaced. So if people are chasing the Enchanted rarity, they're going to weigh the packs. They're going to take the heaviest packs most likely out, put all the light packs in, reseal it, and then sell it. And that's why the case premium on this card game is already high. I think cases are around 950 to £1,000.
Yeah.
Whereas boxes are about 180. So there's that clear difference that people are valuing a sealed case versus just individual boxes.
Yeah, I think that says a lot. And I know it happens in Weiss as well at times where loose boxes will be cheaper because they're probably dead, and the case can stay fairly high at times because of that guaranteed, like, there's definitely hits in here somewhere. It's interesting. For me, I love cards with texture on, so already, like, when I heard that, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm really not that bothered about picking it up at all. Did you manage to get yours at retail when you pre-ordered?
Yeah. I just pre-ordered I want to say 6 packs.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get that many. I just wanted a taste of it, honestly. I was considering getting stuff. Honestly, if I ever get any boxes, it'll be purely for like streams, like Whatnot streams, because I have a lot of people asking me if I'm going to have Lorcana on there, and I said probably not at the moment. I mean, the 6 packs, honestly, that I got, I'm not even going to open them all myself. Like, I'm going to take them on holiday with my family because they're all into Disney, so we're just going to open them.
Oh, nice.
It'll be quite nice to see. But I think, I mean, it's a tough one because there's just so much drama surrounding the card game's release. Obviously, they were potentially being sued at one point by Upper Deck, and then now you've got some issues with the fact that the restock that was supposed to be in September is now delayed to October, and then the next restock after that is going to be next year, early next year. So we're going to have gaps. They did say that they wanted to print it to oblivion, basically, and mean that anyone could pick it up, but I can't imagine that they didn't know the demand that was going to be for this game. And I think, it's a conversation I've had with a few people already that said, like yourself, they're probably not gonna get involved in it. And their feelings were that Ravensburger and Disney knew what they were doing with this game, and they purposely made it hard to get, to create this like fake scarcity, like inorganic, demand. Really, the game was going to be the game. They could print 10 times what the most recent Pokemon set would out, and they'd sell it out. because it's just such a, you know, such a massive release. I mean, my local card store is doing events. I know loads of card stores across the country and across the world that are already started. They picked it up more than they picked up any other card game that's come out in the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I mean, that just indicates to me it's going to be prices are going to go up while it's, you know, while stock is scarce and the reprint is pushed back a month, and then the next one's not until the following year. That just all I can speculate on that is it's just going to go up, like as it has done already. It will stay up there for quite some time. Maybe some of the hype will die down over the months or so, who knows. And then eventually, if they do print it into oblivion, straight back down. Like that's the vibe I'm getting from what you've just said. You know, does depend on them doing that and actually printing it to that point, right? You know, they could say they're going to print it to oblivion, but not necessarily do that. They could just do 2 small reprints. I mean, we've seen it with many TCGs, right? When they do a reprint and it's tiny and it's like it literally doesn't do anything because it's just so small. So I guess we will see what happens with that. They also had the fake the Mocky card. I don't know if you saw that. So the fake Mickey card that actually has been authenticated and has been graded by PSA, right?
Yeah,
which is
they've actually graded it, and BGS as well.
Yeah,
CGC are the only top 3 one that haven't. Yeah, that's an interesting one actually, and it kind of now PSA aren't grading it because of that, and I think news like that is going to be enough for some people to kind of hesitate. I think the promo is, I want to say 3.5 grand. I think in a PSA 10.
Yeah.
It's quite expensive card. I know some people watching this actually that do own a copy, because I remember them mentioning it to me at some point, and I think, look, it would have been a really good time. I understand people that if they want to hold the promo like long term, like, because, you know, it's Disney, right? It's, if this game does really well, it's going to be one of the first promos. It's, you know, and it's Mickey as well. But it probably would have been a fairly good flip if it sold it just prior to Lorcana's release, like before PSA were grading it. You know, you've also got the other upside of, if you have got a truly real card, the value of it potentially could go up now because they're not grading it anymore. So there's like just so many different variables to think about, and I think that for me, as somebody that is like a outside viewer as such, that kind of is exciting. But yeah, I think the game will do well short term. I don't know about long term. We don't know enough, and nobody knows enough to be able to make an educated guess as such. But the other thing with it as well is MJ Holdings that stock Walmart for a lot of their TCG products. They've actually supposedly pulled the product now and are going to be selling it themselves, which is obviously very dodgy to even touch on the subject, honestly.
What makes it dodgy from your perspective? Like what? Yeah.
I think it's something that I did think about could potentially happen, and I've seen moments of it happen with other card games. There was something kind of similar with Monarch Flesh and Blood set that came out a few years ago. But I do think with the growing, you know, the way that TCGs are growing right now, obviously distributors and, you know, companies like MJ Holdings, they're using stores. Obviously they sell to stores, so it goes from the factory to the distributor, and they distribute it out evenly or whatever. But I think there's gonna be times, and I guess we could probably see it with this Lorcana, where there's gonna be moments where they're gonna go, do you know what? Why don't we just sell it ourselves? I think it's obviously not the right process, right? If you're promising stores stock and then you're going, do you know what? Now we're going to sell it ourselves. Actually, I think it's a bit of an. Akora actually did it, right? Didn't they? When Akora started selling it on their own website, and that's why a lot of stores were like, do you know what? I don't want to get involved in that.
Yeah, I think it's you're right. The problem probably comes from doing one thing and then changing your mind and switching it up. But do you think there would be an issue if they done that from the start? Do you think the issue is that they've changed halfway through and you know, decided to pull stock off of
Yeah, I
stores.
think because they've seen the demand of it, right? I can't remember what retail is, but it's definitely not
Yeah.
$380. Um, I think, I mean, the job as a distributor and like holdings company like that, right, is they they're holding the product for stores to give to them. That's their job. So
Yeah.
it's kind of when they decide to go, do you know what? We're just going to sell it ourselves. I think if I mean the Disney store themselves sell the Lorcana stuff. I think if you go into the Disney stores, you can buy some packs or whatever. There's not a problem with companies selling their own product themselves. That's something that's become a lot more popular. Obviously, Pokemon Centers online as well. You've had the
Yeah.
Pokemon Centers in Japan for years, and it's never really been an issue because it's just another outlet to get
Yeah.
it. And generally, actually, they're more expensive than a lot of places because people know if they want to buy it from the source, it's going to cost more, but they
Yeah.
know it's truly 100% trusted, right? So I think, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, honestly. I'm not 100% sure how. When my first knee-jerk reaction to it was, that's completely wrong. But if they'd said, I don't know, from the start, maybe it would have been a bit different. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so the fact that they're doing this to Walmart, one of the biggest companies in the world, and one of the biggest stockists for TCGs, is it's alarming. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward if it was just a one-off.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, again, as somebody who has no sort of uh, money in the game at the moment as it stands, I just enjoy seeing stuff. It's just not so much funny, but it's interesting. It's
Yeah.
definitely interesting to see what happens because with Lorcana, right? If any TCG that was going to release in the last 5 years would change anything about the TCG landscape in terms of just the model of TCGs, right? Lorcana is the only one that has a chance of doing that, which can be good or bad for the way that it is right now because there's things that are good and bad about how TCGs, not just in terms of being made, but distributed
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it's good. I think Lorcana will probably do really well short term, as you said. The demand will keep going up probably until more stock comes available. They might not end up, releasing tons of stock, and we might just have, you know, these playable cards that are really hard to obtain, being expensive. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 12 months. Obviously, we'll talk about it on here anyway. So
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely a different dynamic. That's for sure.